Yeah, so wicked, awesome. So welcome to the show. Thank you very much for talking to me, Captain,
Sure.
from the Peach and Black podcast, which is now world famous. And
Oh yeah.
yes, started from humble beginnings, though. Do you want to like talk a
Mm.
little about
Ooh.
that?
All the way back in
Is this 12 years ago now? Is this?
it was early, and there goes the truck, just on time. Uh, Early 2009. I think January or February. We put out. I
Right.
think it was
Yeah.
January. We put out the first show, but it was probably only a month or two before that. MC put out a message on whichever forum. It might have been the org or it might have been Housequake. I can't remember. It was
Right.
so
Yeah.
long ago. And he's like,
The
"Oh, I was
org
just wondering."
for non-Prince
Ah,
aficionados is
Prince.org.
Prince.org, which is a never have you seen a bigger hive of scum and villainy.
Oh, that, well,
No, it's
there,
all right. It's all right. It
there's
just
good
gets a bit
people
hectic, doesn't it?
and there's not so good people. So
Being honest, I
if you
haven't
can
really.
if you can weed out a lot of the negativity, it's a decent. There's
Yeah, there's a
decent
lot of
stuff
great
there.
info. Yeah, there's definitely. I think I've stepped back a lot from the fandom side of things post him passing in a way, so couldn't even really tell you whether all the squabbling even still goes on to this day
Ah,
or
it
not.
hasn't changed.
Oh,
It's
really? Okay.
if
Well,
anything, it could be worse.
really? Oh, probably more impassioned, I'm sure. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So what? It was just a notice board, just a message on a notice board, and you decided, yeah.
yeah. And I just went, oh, okay. I didn't even know what a podcast was. It's like, oh, we'll just get on there and talk about Prince. I'm like, okay,
I can
I
do
can do
that.
that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And then we started, and yeah, it's 2020, so it's been. I
Yeah.
think we've done we over 130 episodes now. Like we're
Wow.
not
Yeah.
super regular. We're not like every week or whatever,
A good bit of fiber in your
but we
diet
do
will
like
sort that out.
we do 2 or 3 hour shows. So
Yeah, they're long. Yeah, I mean, it's no short work for whoever's doing the editing
no,
as well. Do you edit or?
that'd be me. That'd be
Oh,
me.
crikey! Wow. So
Toe
you went
Jam, Toe
from
Jam does a couple here and there, but most of it's me. Yeah.
so you went from not knowing what a podcast was to editing 3 hours of chat about
Well,
Prince and
if
trying to
you want
make
to talk like the 1999 Super Deluxe, that was edited down to about 12 and a half
Yeah,
hours
it's a
from.
lot. It's a
I don't
lot.
even know how long it was before that.
Yeah.
I've
You
erased
can
it from my
you
memory.
can listen to the album like in way shorter time.
You could listen to the album about 20 times before
So,
you finish the review. So we had a
yeah,
lot to say.
yeah. Well, I mean, on a release like that, it's bound to happen, really, isn't it? Was it? Did you start off tentatively? Like at first, you were kind of like quite cautious about how long you wanted the shows to be and
Uh,
stuff like that.
I don't think so. I think at some point early on we did say, let's try to keep it to maybe an hour, hour and a half, but that didn't last too
Went
long.
out the window. Yeah, sure.
It
Well,
didn't last too long.
you got four people all giving opinions as well, and then all the interaction that has to happen when they give those opinions. So it's gonna
That's the thing.
gonna
Like we
take a
all
while.
write our own, notes on whatever song.
Sure.
That could go from 2 minutes to, 8
Yeah.
minutes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Times that by four people,
Yeah.
and then plus any conversation we have
Yeah.
about I
Times
disagree
that.
with that point or this point, and then I think there's a song on the Purple Rain, no Purple Music on 1999
Right. Yeah.
Deluxe. I think it was over 30 minutes. It was like
Yeah. Just
30.
on the one song. Sure.
It was almost 40 minutes on one song, but then again, it's an 11-minute song.
Yeah.
One
And
of the
it's a
most epic songs
notable
ever. There's
one.
a lot to
Yeah,
say.
it's a notable one
Yeah,
in the back catalogue as well, isn't it? So,
that's it.
yeah. I
That
mean,
song could take the award for the longest we've ever talked about a single track. So, yeah.
plus, if there's a dirty joke in there, that could get repeated and riffed on at least 10 minutes.
Yeah,
You know,
that happens.
before anybody thinks, "Hang on, should we stop?"
And the funny thing is, if you've heard that in shows, again, that's still after editing. Like, if we bring up a joke 4 times through a show, it was probably mentioned 10
it's
times.
12. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, no, that's enough.
It's just
There's
too
only
many.
so many times you can make a joke about, like, say, the track
Vagina.
Vagina.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly.
Before you think people might not want to hear this.
Yeah.
As funny as we think it is at the time, maybe it's not so great.
Before it starts to wear thin, at the risk of starting the same thing all over again.
And it probably still does wear thin, even what we do put out. So, but no, we can't cut it all out.
I found it. You've managed to entertain me for almost the amount of time you've been going. I think I happened upon it probably a year or most 2 after you'd been going, and I remember when I had to catch up. It was only a few. There was only like I don't know, you know, like at the most 2 handfuls worth of reviews that I had to catch up on. Probably less than that. So yeah, so you've been managing to keep me entertained for that long, so that's pretty good. And all the others kind of been, well, the weird thing is, the reason I got into you guys was, strangely, my brother was living in Australia at the time, and I don't know, strangely it just made me feel more connected to him to listen to some Australian people talking about Prince, because I knew he might have these kind of conversations and stuff. And then slowly but surely it became like just a force of habit, really. So thanks for the many hours of editing. I appreciate that. Having edited my own stuff, it's really, really hard. So, you know, so then how did that grow? Like, I mean, because obviously at some point you were suddenly being mentioned in the NME as, like, you know, one of the, you know, top
that happened.
podcasts you must listen to, and
that's it. I'm not sure. We never really did any advertise. Like, we're not 20. We're like all late 30s, I think, early 40s. You know, we're not that great with all the social media and everything.
Sure.
So when, like, in 2009,
like,
we
cynical
had no clue.
enough. Yeah,
we just started doing the podcast, and we're like, well, if people listen to it, they listen to it. And then, like, after a few shows, we're like, oh wow, 100 people listen to the show, and that was amazing. And now, you know, you get tens of thousands. It's like, holy moly! But again, it's just been a very slow, organic.
Yes, great.
Like, we never really did any promotion or advertising. I mean, we do some stuff on social media, but it just grew by itself. And, like, it was only, was it the first or second year when Prince listened to the show? And I think from then a few more people were starting to take notice, because they're like, well, if Prince is listening to it, there must be,
I might as well.
Be something there.
Sure,
and he never came out and said he listened to any other podcasts or any other sort of thing like that I know of. So that was something.
Any inkling as to why you think he picked up on you guys and not others? Or
it could be one of so many things. One could be the sense of humor,
right?
Because, you know, we know his sense of humor,
right? Sure.
And we've got an idiotic sense of humor as well, which that might have been part of it.
Yeah, he might have found it very entertaining.
But we didn't get on there and say every song's great, he's a god, everything's perfect. Like, if we didn't like a song, we're like, I don't like this song. But then we didn't just leave it there. We're like, I don't like this song because, you know,
right? Yeah, sure.
The drum sound on this sounds like it's from 35 years ago. Or it's like constructive criticism. We didn't just say, oh, I don't like it. But having said that, I do remember a few songs. I think there was one track on Rave. I don't remember which song it was. It came to my turn to review a track, and I just literally said pass. So that's not really constructive criticism, but
it wasn't the 5 minutes of
that was pretty.
It wasn't the 5 minutes of silence for Miles Davis on Rave, was it? Because that's all right. You can pass.
It was actually one track on Rave. I can't remember what it was. And now I'd probably have something to say, but back then I was just like, I can't even be bothered.
I've got nothing for it. Yeah. Well, I guess that's probably better than saying something bad.
Totally.
Yeah. That's probably better than saying something bad, isn't it? Still, but so then obviously
it could have been any bunch of reasons. So who knows?
And then obviously that led to you guys being invited to go and meet him. So that must have been like
Yes.
just the most mind-blowing thing, really.
Like, I look back at that now, which is 10 years, almost coming up, it'll be 10 years in October. So
Really, wow.
you look back at that and you're like, oh, that was a really special thing. And it was in a way, but then also at the same time, he was reaching out to a lot of online people.
Sure.
Like if you remember back then, if you were around back then,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
you might remember Shelby, not
Yeah.
Shelby J, another Shelby, and he gave her like a few of the Montreux video tracks to put up
Right.
on her YouTube
Yes, I do
channel,
remember
and like
that. Yeah.
he was reaching out to online people in that way, and we were sort of an extension of that. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, although Shelby also did get flown to Paisley Park because she was
Yeah.
in I think Atlanta,
Right.
and so I mean, from a cost point of view, I'm sure flying two of us from Australia was way higher in the list than flying someone inside the US. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you look back at it now, and it's just like, did that even really happen? It was just
Yeah.
such a crazy few days. It's bizarre.
Yeah, so give us a little, just obviously because people are going to be like really interested in that. Give us a little kind of like, I've
Mm,
obviously, you can hear the whole show that tells you all about it in great detail, but maybe
mm.
just, I guess, just give us your kind of like the uh the
The cliff
the main
notes.
impression really, like that you got of him really from it, really, I guess would be the most interesting thing.
Ooh,
Like
okay.
compared to versus maybe your expectations or preconceptions beforehand, any surprises, any kind of things that were exactly how you thought they'd be, and that kind of thing, really.
Well, it wasn't the first time I'd met him. It was literally the third or fourth time, but it was the first time we actually sat down and had
Sat
a
and had a
long
conversation.
chat for like hours.
Hmm.
But his persona, I guess, it was interesting because he's been, there's Prince when he's at Paisley Park by himself,
Hmm.
just being himself. But then, as soon as he's in front of people, it's the Prince persona,
Yeah, he's
and
on
he's
show. Yeah.
playing that guy. He's
Hmm.
on,
Yeah.
and he can maintain that for a whole concert. He can maintain that for a while.
Yeah.
But when you're actually sitting down having a conversation, it sort of slips in and out. Like you
Right.
do see the real person there, like just having a conversation.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting because the other times that I'd met him before, it was just like in the public setting and there's other people around and he's just being Prince.
The Q&A where he's like got his answers almost kind of ready for you before you've even like said your
Yeah,
question or whatever.
yeah, exactly.
I've learned this part of scripture if it was a certain time in his career, and at other points he very much has his kind of like almost like Prince wisdom or something, if you know what I mean, like where he,
Yeah.
and he'll have these like like not quite pre-prepared lines, but there's stuff that's very deeply tied in with all his
Oh,
thought
yeah.
process about stuff. So it must have been nice to, I guess, every so often catch him off and like get something that was a bit more like unrehearsed or
Yeah.
pre-thought.
Like the funniest thing was, just before we met him, I'd seen him do a few other interviews. Like he'd invited some journalists to Paisley Park, and like they'd sit down and talk, or they'd listen to music, or go for a drive in the car and play a new album, whatever he was doing at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
time. So I knew, you can look at any interviews throughout his career, and you can tell, okay, this era, this few months, he was really focused on this thing, and like
yeah,
he brought it up
yeah,
in every interview. And
sure,
when we went and met him, he, every time he brought up things which I knew, like you said, were his like
yeah,
pre-prepared lines in his head, which he'd mentioned in every other interview.
yeah,
I tried to get him off topic every time
sure, yeah.
because I didn't want to hear the same thing
The
that I'd
same
heard
bits, yeah.
time
It's
after time. Because the funniest thing about it was it wasn't even an interview. Like
sure,
all the things that his manager at the time had mentioned to us in email that he wanted to talk about, not one single one of those things was actually brought up in
really,
the conversation when we sat down with him.
yeah,
And yeah, it wasn't an interview, it was just a conversation.
yeah,
And we had no idea until I think late that night or the next morning, and then his manager contacts us, and she said, uh, "I hope you'll be doing a show about this," and like stupidly, that hadn't
We
even
didn't
entered our
record.
head.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't record it, and the thing is, nobody checked us. We could have easily recorded it, but I
Right,
think there
that's
was that trust
interesting. Yeah,
there already, which was very
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Because I guess
Um,
because you're hardcore proper fans, you actually know that you don't need to be told to not record
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah, we
yeah.
didn't need to be told that. But looking back at it, it would have been so simple to just
Yeah,
have a recorder in my pocket.
yeah,
Nobody would have known because nobody checked us. Nothing
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
But then, yeah. So, and we're like, oh, okay, we'll do a show about it then. Um,
Well,
and the
Prince
crazy
would
thing
be
is, when we
happy
got
though.
back to the hotel, no, he wouldn't have been. When we got back to the hotel that night, we actually got on, I think, Skype at the time, just audio though.
Mm,
And it was me and MC, and we got Toe Jam and Player on the call,
yeah,
and we literally talked to them for probably about 4 hours about everything that had happened that
yeah,
just in the last few hours.
yeah.
But for some idiot
Didn't
reason, again,
record it.
we didn't think to record it because I'm sure there's stuff that happened at the time.
Yeah, that you'd
And then
remember straight
even,
after. Yeah, sure.
yeah, and if we had that recording, like MC did have notes, but still, that's
Right.
not everything.
Yeah,
Like, and even the stuff that's in that show that we put out at when we got back to Sydney, there's still a lot of stuff in that was not included because we weren't sure. Well, if we
how
say
much?
that this happened, will Prince be annoyed or he doesn't
Yeah,
want
yeah,
this,
yeah.
out? So we were very careful. And when I listen back to that first show now, it's just awful to me because it misses so much.
Right,
If you need to listen to a show about it, listen to the one with NASA, which we did last year.
right.
That's a
Yeah,
lot more, or listen to both. But that one's
yeah,
probably more comprehensive and it includes just about everything that we could remember.
yeah. Plus, you've
But
got the added bit of
yeah,
someone else who was there, I guess, to
who
kind
was
of,
there?
yeah, and
Yeah,
give their perspective on it as well. So
which
yeah,
was really interesting. Yeah.
yeah, awesome. So that,
Did
yeah,
I
so
answer the
that,
question? I think so.
yeah, totally, totally. So then, yeah, so then obviously, I guess that kind of brings us on to the vaguely uncomfortable topic of In Passing, which was obviously
Mm,
how were you guys affected by that on your side of things? That must have been quite a day. I know for
it
me,
was,
I just
yeah,
got a streaming service and I played music of his for like 3 days straight on my YouTube
yeah.
channel, little shrine and stuff. And yeah, I don't remember much from it really, but yeah, that was kind of how I got through that. So
From what I remember, it was about 5 a.m. here.
right,
So
yeah,
that's not something you want to wake up to. And I think it was a
no,
text message from Player or Toe Jam, and they're like, turn on the news. I can't remember what,
yeah,
something like that. And then at that point, it had just happened, and they're like, a body's been found in Paisley Park. And we're like,
yeah,
it could be anyone, who knows?
hmm,
And then it didn't take long before they found out,
yeah, it was, yeah,
confirmed that it was him. So it was, I don't know. I wasn't really, strangely, I don't think I was that sad at the time. I think I was in shock, like a lot of people,
yeah,
for a long time, like months.
hmm,
And it wasn't till maybe at least 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. And then I was sad.
yeah.
And then, you'd hear a song, you'd hear like sometimes it snows in April or, some song like that. And then you just lose it.
Yeah,
But
there's
it
some
took
I
me a
just
while
have to
before
stay
I
away from.
fully, yeah. Well, a lot of people still say they can't listen to tracks like that,
Yeah.
which is understandable. But it was such a weird time.
It's the weird ones
Uh,
that get me actually. It's like so there's no real good reason for this, but the guitar solo bit at the end of Funk and Roll on AOA, um
oh,
like for some reason when that goes I think it might be tied with like because the last time I saw him that was one of the particular highlights
uh,
that he actually
yeah,
played that bit and it was like, oh wow, he did the guitar bit in Funk and Roll like the other version
yeah,
and everything. That was at the Coco
yeah.
show. Yeah, so I think it might be tied in with that, and also on the day itself. I remember when it kicked into the solo in gold, I just couldn't
Oh, yeah.
back anymore. That was like, oh, that was a real difficult
Mm.
moment. Comeback,
Well, you
that
just
song I
mentioned,
avoid.
yeah. While you
Sorry.
just mentioned Coco,
Yes.
we were just talking about this the other day. Tell me, we couldn't figure out the exact details, but
Hmm.
just without looking it up and from our memory, Coco was renamed from being a different club earlier. Is that correct?
I think it was London Astoria 2,
Ah, it was the
maybe. I want to say.
Astoria.
I could be
Okay.
wrong about that. I could be, but I feel
Because
like
we
it
were
was.
talking about it, and I was getting confused with all the London clubs. There was like Cafe de Paris,
Yeah,
there was
that's.
Coco, and there was Camden Palace, and there was
Yeah,
Astoria. And I know
I
one
I
of them
might be
was
wrong.
renamed from a previous club which he had
Yeah.
also played at, but I
Yeah,
just couldn't figure it
he
out.
had a. I pretty sure, although again I could be wrong. I went to a. I feel like I went to a club at the Astoria back in the when Gold was still not even out, and he was just doing random club nights, and then
Yeah.
sometimes playing. And this night he didn't play, and I was really he waved, and
Uh,
that was what we got.
he waved, and
And
then he
and
played the next night when you weren't there.
yeah, yeah, of course, yeah, typical.
Exactly.
Um, so yes,
Mm.
so I remember like the thing was we got to hear like Gold for the first ever time. We saw like videos
Oh,
for like the Come video and where he's like there mad video or whatever that one with
yeah.
Horace and stuff and
Oh,
the
that would have been
dancey
good.
version. Yeah, there was some good bits, but the weird thing was nobody treated it like a club. Everybody stood as if they were waiting for a gig for practically the whole night. So nobody really
Yeah,
had any fun. They were always in this pre-fun kind of state, even though
they're
I
just
think,
waiting.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that was quite weird. I mean, obviously you try and dance a bit and then you'd be like, people would be angry at you for dancing in a club to a song. And so you're like, okay, right. To a Prince song of all things, do you know what I mean? And a brand new one as well, So
Mm.
so there was, yeah, I think he played a few things like Now, and I feel like we got
Well,
a
that would
bit
have
of a
been
taste
good.
of the Gold experience, yeah, but didn't really get
Because
much
he
of a
did
chance.
play Astoria in that '95 era, and he played the Emporium. He played
Yeah,
a
he's
few good after shows that Gold
yes.
tour. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't get to see any of those. First time I saw an after show was the last night of the O2 shows, which I actually took
Ah.
Grace, my co-host slash partner, that was her first Prince gig, which was like my holy
Oh
grail.
wow.
And she just got
Yeah.
it on a plate. So yeah, so,
First go.
really, yeah. And it was such a good night.
Mm.
Like from like what he played a full night for the normal gig, like 8 till 11, like almost on the dot, like
Mm.
everything, all the time he could take up, and then we went out, maybe grabbed something to drink, and then went and joined a queue, and then we were in the club, and by 1:15 the curtain dropped, and it was Amy Winehouse and him doing
Wow.
Love Is a Losing Game with that extended kind of 6-minute version with all the crazy solos in between and everything. And,
Wow.
yeah. And then it just went off from there. It was like, Whole Lot of Love and the Rock Steady and the,
Oh.
what's the name? All the bits on the book, the one with the book 21 Nights / Indigo.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like all that stuff. Lots of that
yeah.
was told from that night. The version of Mother's Finest, Baby Love. That,
Ah yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that was a great night. And we left at like 4:15 in the morning, I want to say, and we all just
That's
went
what
and
you want.
got on a boat, and we were literally singing "Get on the Boat" as we got on the boat and sailed off. It was like just dream memory kind of thing. Yeah, even saw him
Wow.
like close up behind a gate, but people started shouting, so he kind of went, "Oh no, none of that," and kind of went off.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was a goodie.
Just
Yeah,
calm down.
of all the times I've seen him, that was definitely one of the standout kind of times. But yeah, I was going to ask
Mm.
you, what is your, would you now say, because obviously, I guess it's all in retrospect now, what your favorite
Mm.
Prince gig was out of all of them? And
Ooh.
how many have you seen? And then what was your favorite,
Uh, I think I
roughly?
worked it out a while ago, and I think it was 12 shows,
Right, cool.
which is
That's all right.
decent.
Yeah, I
You
saw
know,
about
I know there's
15.
some
So yeah.
people who haven't seen him at all, and I know
And
there's
there's
people
others
who've
who've
seen
seen
him
300,
400
500
times.
times. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What I've learned is there's
Um,
always a bigger fan.
oh yeah. Don't ever think that you know more than someone else. I mean, you might, but don't assume that you do.
Yeah, yeah.
But
If you do, there's always gaps that other people know because of where their focus lies and stuff like that.
That's it.
So yeah,
Well, most of my shows, I'll do a quick run through of the shows that
yeah,
I
go on
saw.
then. Yeah.
The first show I saw was the first celebration,
Oh
the
wow,
13th of June 2000 in Paisley
wow,
Park.
that's amazing.
Well, the actual show was at Northrop Auditorium. And that was just a massive, like, 3 hour show. And it was a one off
Jeez.
show, it wasn't part of a tour. And the set list was just insane.
Yeah.
You
No,
had
I've
Bobby
got.
Z, Brown Mark, and Dr. Fink turn up on stage, which, as far
Wow.
as I know, is the only
Only
time there's
time you.
been any
Yeah.
sort of Revolution mini reunion.
Amazing.
So that, for my first show, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But then I saw a One Night Alone in Japan show. That was
Right, wicked.
bloody great as well.
I never got to see that tour.
I saw 2 musicology shows in
Right,
North and
wicked.
South Carolina.
Awesome.
And then I didn't see him again until 2012 when he came back to Australia. And then I saw 1, 2, 3. I saw 3 shows and an after show. My first after show, which was
Right.
at the Ivy, which was pretty good. It was a good after show, but there were a lot of idiots in that audience who were just like rich wankers who
Sure.
didn't even care that Prince was on stage. They
As
were just
became
there
the
being
way
cool.
a bit later on. Like I remember when we went to the final time I ever saw him, we were up in some weird little kind of tiny area up at the top, and all these rich people all in the kind of areas where you could actually see and everything. And it was like, yeah, this is the way it goes, I guess. But
like, as annoying as it was for hardcore Prince fans to be there, you could tell Prince was annoyed as well.
Sure.
It's just
he just wants the people who are
his
gonna
manner
be into
and
it.
his reactions to things were just different to if it was like a crowd of like screaming Dutch people in an after show. It was very different to a bunch of rich wankers in Sydney.
Sure.
How he interacted and everything. I mean, it was my first and only after show, so it was cool. But yeah, that was a bit annoying. And then 2012, and then the last shows I saw were Piano and Mike, 3 of the 4 Sydney shows. And they were amazing as well. But I don't think I can. Obviously. You can't pick.
It's tough. I have like a few that are the top ones. I saw him, I think, 15 times, and like from like my first was Diamonds and Pearls, Manchester. So I like MPG, like there, like that was my kind of time really.
That's
like
your era.
I mean, I definitely I was into him all the time before, but I kind of took on the baton from my dad, who bought like the first few albums, and then I kind of like was really obsessed with him by the Diamonds and Pearls era, like really full on. And so went to see that as my first gig. Then I saw the one which was like Act 2, which was like half hits, half cymbal kind of vibe, and that was great, but a big kind of stadium gig, so a bit strangely detached in a strange way, but all right, but really good still. I saw the Gold tour in Birmingham. That was I mean, I'm not sure I appreciated it quite as much as I do in retrospect now. Like at the time I was probably a little like I'd like just a couple more songs that I know, but like but now it just seems like
I'm exactly the same.
Hits.
Looking back at that tour now, you're like, wouldn't that be the best thing ever? You turn up to a Prince show and he just plays almost all the songs that you don't know.
Yeah.
And now looking back, you're like, that's amazing. But if you were there, you'd be like, I want to like sing along, but I don't know any of the songs.
It was bizarre because things like I Love You and Me would become like, oh wow, he's doing this one, like such a famous song, and like Pink Cashmere became like he might as well have been doing When Doves Cry. Do you know what I mean? Because like it's like, wow, something we know. Even when he started breaking into Talking Loud Saying Nothing by James Brown, it got like quite a reaction, because it's like, oh yeah, I know this, like so, but I mean, it was, like looking back on it now, it feels like hit upon hit, because it's like
now
Pussy Control, Billy Jack Bitch, now
Endorphin Machine, now
Endorphin
Days
Machine.
of Wild.
It's just all, it's such good stuff. The Ride, just such good stuff on the Ride. So then I remember I queued at a Bagley's Warehouse, and didn't get into that, and that was
Oh no.
gutting. So I went home with my
Yeah.
tail between my legs, and then I went to that weird club where he didn't play, and yeah, and then I saw. Trying to
So
think.
you saw him in '98,
Yes, I saw him. Yeah,
August '98.
at
Yeah.
the Wembley Arena. Yeah, on the like what's the name? New Power Soul kind of
Power
era.
Soul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Emancipation, New Power Soul kind of vibe. Then I didn't see him for a while. I would say the
You didn't
next
see
time
him in
was
'99,
no,
November '99. I was
no,
in London when
really.
he played like the Mermaid Theatre and a couple
Yeah,
other places
it was
in
like a
one day.
hundred quid a ticket or something, and I just couldn't.
Uh, all I remember is uh, me and my friend were just running around like idiots trying to find out where he was playing. And by the time we found out, it was over.
Oh,
So that was a crazy day
oh.
of just running around like maniacs.
I think Prince
Uh,
fans have an extra kind of like we've got an extra load of war stories involved with potentially not even seeing Prince, let alone just queuing up for
trying to
hours.
get to
You know what I
something,
mean?
yeah.
I like for
Lining
the
up for an after show, not getting in, yeah.
that Shepherd's Bush gig where he was doing, you know, like when he was doing the small gigs. Not Shepherd's Bush. What am I talking about? Oh, it was the first Coco one that he did. Before
Oh,
when he
yeah,
was
yeah.
doing the Third Eye Girl stuff, and he was mainly just playing random guitar songs, not so many hits and stuff,
Yeah,
which was amazing. But that
sure.
I queued for 3 hours in winter,
Oh, wow.
you know, and stuff like that. Drinking rum the whole time, so I was quite when I got in and it was all hot in the venue, I was like, "Whoa, I want to remember this gig. Like, gotta wake myself
Wake
up."
up.
So I saw that, and I went to see like one of the big ones in on that tour, the Hit and Run Part 2, and then we saw the what's it called, the Roundhouse. That was amazing. And
Oh, yep, yep.
so close. And that's where I made some weird face whilst he was playing guitar. I was like, "Oh," and he just looked back at me and went, "Oh," like that. And I was like, "What's going on? Prince just did my face
Excellent.
kind of thing." Yeah, and that left me gobsmacked for I don't know, probably a month or two. Do you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, I tried. The Hop Farm, which was amazing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Seeing him outdoors was just such a unique, weird thing that I never thought I'd
Yeah.
kind of do. That was really good.
Was it? Yeah, it was
I saw
2011. He did a bunch of those like outdoor festival things, and a lot of them were still in daylight. And it was,
Oh,
you see the videos, and it's
so
just so
great.
weird to see him
It's
like
so nice.
in real life.
Yeah,
Like you
it's
used to
so
be
good.
seeing on stage in the dark with all the lights,
And
but then to
the
see him just
festival
in
vibe.
daylight, it's like, wow.
And it's weird combining
Yeah,
the festival vibe with the Prince vibe, because suddenly it's like, oh,
yeah,
it's a whole nother thing. It's like even
yeah.
bouncier, even more like he played a pretty much a hit set for that, and it was still
Yeah.
the most enjoyable things. I mean, John Blackwell adds a bit, doesn't he? But
Oh, yeah.
you know, so,
Yeah.
so yeah, but yeah, so I saw 6 of the O2 shows. So because me and a friend just
Oh, that's good.
we bought tickets and just traded tickets with each other so that we could see more shows. And we were living in
Ah.
Oxford, so it was like an hour and a half.
Oh, bit of travel. Yeah.
Not much though. It's about the same if you lived in a village outside of Oxford. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm,
it was
yeah.
yeah, it was pretty good really, and pretty regular all the way back, like
Mm.
coaches back until like 6 in the morning or whatever. So and then there'd be a
Oh,
little
that's all
gap
right.
till 8 or something. So yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
good. So yeah, so
Mm.
yeah, but I still can't really tell you my favorite. It's probably the first one because it was the first. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like I'm
The first
seeing
show is always
Prince,
a special one,
and he's
and
playing Bambi.
whatever after show you see is always going to be a special
Yeah,
one, even if it's not the best after show. If
yeah, yeah,
that's your only one, that's the one.
yeah. That's the one.
So yeah, but I cannot pick a best show. I can say though, possibly the two musicology shows are at the bottom of that list.
Right? Any reason?
I'm not particularly sure why. It's just I liked all the others better, like that I
Right?
can remember.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, they were a massive hits show. It was massive arenas, 20,000 people or
sure.
whatever. And it was a great atmosphere and it was all hits. But they just, by 2004, I'd heard all the hits.
Yeah, I know.
You
It
know?
gets to
And
the point where
I've heard a million bootlegs. So I'm just like,
you're really waiting
okay.
for that. I remember like certain moments during the O2 shows were like when he played like the piano version of Something in the Water and stuff like that, and you're like,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like this
yeah,
is what I came for, the gold. This is the
yeah.
real the nuggets. Do you know what I mean? So like the
Well, that
Crazy
2012,
by Niles Barkley
yeah.
being played every gig, I could
Oh
do
yeah.
without. Do you know what I mean?
Like the 2012 Welcome to Australia shows were definitely an interesting sort of set list. Like it was sort of in between things, and it was
Yeah,
such a mix on. I mean, one show he opened up with Gold, and
yeah.
it just
What?
blew my head off. It's like, what is happening? He didn't play Endorphin Machine, even though we had a sign with Endorphin
Yeah, yeah.
Machine, and he saw it. We know he saw it. He pointed and laughed at it, and he didn't play it on purpose. That's
Oh,
very annoying.
yeah. And later on, he used to have Josh come out and do the cowbell for
Yeah,
Endorphin Machine, didn't he? Made a proper
yeah,
joke of it after a while. Like, tell me that
yeah,
didn't come from the podcast. I'm sure that must be
exactly.
a nod.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
there's
So,
so many things like, and we always mention it in the show. Where like, have you ever noticed that we said this, and then like 2 months later, this happened? Like, there's so many things. Like, and we keep saying, "Oh, put that on the list. We'll make a show about it." But we'd actually have to go back and listen to every single show and
yeah,
find all
yeah.
those things again, because we didn't keep a list like idiots. But
That's
there's easily a 2 or 3 hour show of things that we said, and then
when you run out of
a
topics, that'll
couple
be
of months
something you
later,
can. That'll
yeah,
be something you can do. The Nostradamus
exactly,
podcast, yeah, where
yeah,
you predicted
all the
all of
things,
Prince's moments. Wicked.
yeah.
And so, would you say? I mean, it's equally a really tough question. But have you got a favorite like era?
Well, you mentioned it. It's probably like 91 through to 90, January 96.
Right,
The whole
pre-emancipation.
the whole NPG,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
from the start. New tour not so much, but like from those Rock in
Right,
Rio
yeah.
shows in early 91
Oh, really?
until the
Even for
end of
like
the NPG.
get your house in order and
Oh yeah,
Horny
93
Pony,
was.
when Horny Pony was
Oh
still
yeah,
in the running to be on Diamonds and Pearls, like
yes,
it
yeah.
was just like he's gonna put it on, and then he must have just had a wake up moment where he went, "This song's really weird. I need to I need to come up. If this isn't going to be the new dance craze, I don't think anymore."
Do you know
Like,
what? I just saw an interesting fact about that track, which had never occurred to me. Like, um, that song was recorded in 90 or 91,
mm-hmm.
but it was probably meant to come out in 91, 92. No, 90, yeah, it was supposed to come out in Diamonds and Pearls in
Yes,
91.
yeah,
And the lyric in that song is, we're talking about the next dance craze, and he says for the next 8 years. And
right,
what's
yeah,
8 years from then? It's
until 2000,
1999.
yeah, yeah,
I never, that, I just read that the other
yeah,
day, and I'm like, oh wow, another reference to 1999.
yeah, yeah,
Blew my
crazy.
mind. It's like such a, not a great song like that, which I love though.
I
But
love
like
Horny
even that
Pony.
had a reference to
When
1999. Wow.
I just love all the women's voices. Like, oh no, he's just too weird. I just can't. Like, it's just so funny.
Yeah.
And when he goes, "Meh," that's like so weird. It's so good.
It's a great song.
Play that to
Yeah.
someone. Oh, hey, if you heard this Prince song, they'll be like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And like similar things. Like I love playing people like stuff like Pum Pum and just weird stuff that they're going to be like, "What? What is this?"
Yeah.
Like,
But
the
yeah, that's
feast.
for sure my favorite era from,
Right, yeah.
pretty much
I
the
mean,
entire original NPG era from early 90s to
have you heard that
those last shows
bootleg?
in Hawaii.
Have you heard that bootleg that's called like The Dawn, and it collects like so much of that stuff
Oh yeah,
together,
yeah.
and it kind of
That is
repurposes it?
unbelievably put together.
It's so
I
good.
think, and it's kept being refined. I think the latest final version was like version 4.4.
Really, I
Like there's so
don't
many
know which
different.
version I've got. Yeah, I got it a
Kept
while
being
back now.
updated as it just got tweaked and tweaked, and little twists and turns were added, and it's
Yeah,
like if you're a fan of that era, that
yeah,
is one
it's so
amazing
good.
release.
Like you get in one song, you'll get all the versions of that he ever put out of the one song.
Yep.
Like somehow Most Beautiful Girl in the World morphs through the Stacks of Wax and like
Yeah.
the
Oh, it's so
sack,
good.
all of those. Yeah.
And Billy
Wicked.
Jake Bitch has like the full NPG Hornhead
Oh, so
solo
good.
from their
And the
album
guitar,
incorporated into it,
in
and the
there, and
guitar,
yeah, it's so good.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Hey,
wicked.
one
So, okay.
question.
Yes,
Are
go
you
on
going
then.
to edit this show, or is this
Yeah, of course.
straight
Yeah.
going out?
So
Okay.
the full version will go on like separately, but then an edited version will go in the actual show.
Because
Yeah.
I was just going to bring up, if we've got a 40-minute limit, that's going to
Yes.
finish almost
What are we on?
immediately.
What are we on now?
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know,
going to
but if
finish
we
quite
started
soon.
at 8:30, it's going to finish in like 1 minute.
Okay, cool. Well,
So do you want to like start another call, or?
Let's see if it.
Because I was just looking at the time, and I'm like, ooh.
It says it's recording, so I've not got much for you anyway. All I was going to ask you is if you had to recommend like 5 deep cuts or 3 deep cuts or whatever, just what would they be?
So
People
hard.
songs that people have only heard the main, the main stuff. It doesn't have to be like the super rarest track ever.
Wow.
But
these questions they totally kill me, because there's just so much to choose from. And people always ask you, what's your favorite song? And it's like, that's an impossible question. But then I see other people answer instantly. This is my favorite song. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Candy. If anyone knows Candy, she put up her list of her top 100 tracks.
Wow.
I'm like, I can't even fathom putting more than 5 down on a list without changing it in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I change my album orders all the time. So,
but let's go with, just off the top of my head, the track, The Rainbow Children.
Yeah, wicked.
Let's say Horny Pony, just because it's there.
Okay, wicked. Yeah.
And Hide the Bone.
Oh, nice choice. I always want to do a cover of that. Such a good song.
The hard funk on that track will just kill you if it's loud enough.
So good, so good. That's a great one for walking around and like feeling your at your most, if you know what I mean. It's really good for like walking along and feeling funky as hell. Yeah,
that is like almost peak NPG, just hard funk, just kill you. It is so good.
Yeah. And do you have anything you're really, really excited, like as in, not you're really excited, you really, really wish would be released from the vault? Is there like a particular thing that you're like, oh, really want
that? Again, it's the same question. It's like trying to pick from a million things.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the first choice you've got is, do you want studio tracks or do you want live?
Sure. What would you go?
Or do you want video? Like, there's so much. I would probably say, like, this is probably the easiest thing I could think of.
Mm-hmm.
We want studio tracks. They don't have to be perfect quality, but they have to be better than Wouldn't You Love to Love Me?
Sure.
On originals.
Right.
That quality or better of studio tracks that are not already circulating. That's the best answer I could give, because, you can ask for, whatever studio
31,
track,
21
funky,
the movie, or
something funky, This House Comes.
All right, sure, yeah.
But we already have that in very good quality. So to get that in slightly better quality, well, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, being honest, my Purple Music was so quiet. My version of Purple Music was so quiet that, like, I was really pleased to. I actually heard what the song went like when they re-released it. It was like, I always knew this was good. I just needed to turn it out 15 times.
The version that they released actually has extra synths and stuff on it. It's not the same as the version that was already circulating.
Oh, really?
You go and listen to that back to back. There's a bunch of like extra keyboard stuff on there.
Right. And they're not just things that have come up through the mastering or anything like that.
No, they are not on the previously circulating version. They're not there at all. Like, I listen hard and they are not there at all. So it is a different mix, which is, I'm guessing, the final mix, or it could have been a mix where those keyboards were already on there, but then he pulled them down.
Yeah, and they put it back in the mix. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And they've pulled it back, which you noticed on originals. There were things on other versions which were probably on the original recording, but then at some point he pulled out of the mix. And then they come in later and they're like, oh, well, look at all these tracks we've got. Let's get them all up. So you are sort of getting the original
it's weird as well.
Vision, but at some point he made the decision that's not there.
I'm pretty sure it was on.
Now it's being put back. So
I'm pretty sure it was on your show that you pointed out that Jill Jones is on the version of.
One of those tracks.
The ballad.
Baby You're a Trip.
Baby You're a Trip, and it's like, well, how is that his demo that he made for Jill Jones, but it's got her singing on it?
Yeah. Surely you can go around in circles arguing like how that happened, like
chicken and egg.
We did argue it with MC, like what is the original version? So you can argue that forever.
so that brings us quite round. So what are your plans for the podcast? Are you going to argue forever? Is that your basic?
No, I don't want to argue I do like to argue, and I do like to whinge. Anyone who listens to the show will know that, but I don't want to do it forever. We haven't even really talked about it. We're just going. We're going, and then at some point we'll be like, I've had enough of this. But for now, we're going.
Yeah, and as long as there's fire in the...
We've still got the free shows coming out. We've got Peach and Black Plus. We've got the survey. If you haven't voted we're doing a survey of the top 20 songs of the 2000s. That's from 2000 up to 2016.
Yeah, okay.
The link, if you want the link for that, it's on our Twitter and Facebook.
Wicked.
But we're trying to make that a massive, get as many people voting in that.
And what kind of stuff can they imagine on Peach and Black Plus?
Ooh, that is reviewing the live legacy of Prince. So we take, instead of an album review, we talk about the album and all the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
This is reviewing either an audio concert or a video live concert.
Awesome.
And it's a bit of a different format. We've got different sections, different things that we talk about.
Wicked.
But it's like for years people have been saying, when are you going to review the bootlegs?
Right,
well, this is what that is.
Yeah, wicked. Awesome.
Yeah.
And what were your favourite, I just wanted to ask what your favourite moments from doing the show, like the people that you've interviewed and things like that. Have you got any particular highlights so far after your 11-year?
Well, obviously, chatting with Prince has to be at the top of that list, I'm guessing.
Of course,
that all happened because of the show.
Yeah.
But, then we talked to Larry Graham. That was great.
Do you love your mother?
We talked to Ida. We talked to Tony M. We talked to Morris.
Right.
Morris Hayes, not Morris Day. We haven't got enough money to pay Morris Day for an interview, so that's probably not going to happen. And even if we get him, he'll just tell us it's in the book. So what are you going to do?
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know.
He might also wait and go, hang on, Prince has something to say.
Yeah. Let me do the voice.
It's a double whammy though. If you pay for Morris, you get Prince with him as well. So maybe it's worth it.
Yeah. You get that voice coming through no matter what.
Yes.
But I don't know. I've said a few times I don't particularly love doing interviews because it's usually such a hassle to set up, like getting people booked in, and then we've got the time zones to deal with because we're in Australia, and sometimes it can take weeks, if not months, to like get it to the day that it actually happens. So that can be a pain. Doing an album review, it's just us. We can just, let's do it next Thursday night. Okay, done. Do our notes. That's easy.
Awesome.
But the interviews probably are you forget the most information. Like if we just do an album review, we're just talking to ourselves about our own thoughts
and everything. Yeah, sure.
Then talking to people who were there and did things, that's a totally different thing.
And of course, I'm sure the highlight has been the wonderful friendships that the four of you have made with each other.
The other thing on that list is just thinking back to some of the probably the funniest things didn't even get in the show for whatever reason, which is crazy to think about because there's been some funny things in the shows. Yeah. But there's been some things which were just like, that's whatever that topic we got onto, that's not suitable to go out. So Yeah, they've been cut, but that's some of my probably funniest memories of
Yeah.
just some of the ridiculous conversations we've had. And you've heard of most of them, but
Yeah.
there's been a few that didn't get to go out.
Maybe one day, maybe they'll all be compiled along with the Nostradamus episode. So
That's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Wicked, awesome. Well, thanks so much, and may it go on for as long as you feel like doing it. Really, I'll be listening.
Yeah,
So
I was hoping you don't say forever, but yeah, as long as we are happy to do it, that's a good plan.
Yeah, for as long as you, as long as you're enjoying it.
There's at least a few more years. There's at least a few more years to go.
Yeah, and you know they're going to keep releasing stuff, so you might be called out of retirement
That's the thing. Even if we get to a point where there's nothing left to do, I mean, there's still like non-album tracks, and there's still a few albums we still haven't done, like the Sheila E. albums. We haven't reviewed those.
Yeah.
There's still several associated artist albums we haven't reviewed, and they're on the list. Maite's album, we're doing that in the next few months.
Child of the Sun.
But eventually we're going to get to the end of that. So then it's up to the estate to keep giving us more material. so let's hope that happens. But if we get to a point where there's nothing left to do, we might just go, we're going to have a little break.
Yeah.
Estate, it's in your hands. We'll wait till you.
Yeah, we'll be back when you're back. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Awesome.
But I don't think, you can't say for sure, but I don't think we'd ever, unless one of us dies, I don't know. We might not hang up the microphones. Totally.
Yeah, wicked.
We can always come back. There's going to be all these deluxe album reviews in the future, so we'll be back for those. I'm pretty sure, even if we have said we're on a break.
We want a break.
Exactly.
Wicked. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for spending the time with me. And everybody go and listen to Beach and Black. And take care of yourself, dude, and look after yourself during this weird time.
What is it? The
co-video breakdown. Yeah.
Breakdown. It's nighttime there. It's morning here. Who knows when you're watching it? Have a nice day.
Yeah, I know. It'll be anywhere. Wicked. Awesome. Take care of yourself, dude.